What is up? November 22nd, weekly update. This week, honestly, the highlight of this week, it's not really even about comedy. It's honestly just about my personal life and just a feeling of being thankful for everything that I have. Um, I've been going through a few things, just personal dealings and whatnot. And this week really helped me kind of remember remember to be thankful for the blessings that God has given me, honestly. Um, I feel like in today's modern society, there's not as much reverence for God and for Jesus Christ and for religion. And I get it. I get it. I really do. I was one of them, honestly. I didn't if you had asked me what, maybe 12 years ago? If you had asked me maybe 12 years ago in like 2012, 2013, if I thought humanity needed religion, right? If humanity needed, the organized religions that we have, I would have said no. I definitely would have said no, just because it's like all I saw at that time were the issues with it, quite frankly. And everything I thought was, if there's a way that we can set up our society without religions, then that did the same thing, minus the belief structure that they have, I think humanity would be better. Now, now I don't think that, honestly. Um, because it's way more complicated than that. And going through what I've been going through these last few weeks, I don't know how, I don't know why. I feel like I could explain it, but even explain it really doesn't capture it quite right. And that's that church, God, prayer, reading the Bible, they help me. They really, 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 really help me a lot every day, any moment, any moment I'm going through something. I'll just kind of like quietly say to myself, God, give me the strength to get through this. Or I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, right? And it works. I don't understand how it works, but it works. And even when I'm dealing with something that's just really irritating and really dumb, I think is really dumb and frustrating and just push me to the limits of my patience and my willingness to give someone the benefit of the doubt, and the conflict, the internal conflict that arises within me between my desire to be a man of God who strives to be a good, right, and just person, and then someone who wants to just lash out and destroy things out of the frustration of what I feel is ignorance and arrogance by someone else. And God helps me through those moments. Jesus Christ helps me through those moments. So Tuesday I went to a Bible study and I loved it. I love Bible studies. I love sitting down with other like-minded individuals who believe in this idea that goodness itself became man and showed mankind how they could strive toward the same thing. And I like being around other people who agree with that notion. I do. And part of me feels like, with all the uncertainty around society today, between culture, the proliferation of AI, the ability to just make things up on the internet, and as a viewer of those things, I don't even know if what I'm watching and what I'm reading and what I'm believing is real or true. Because of that, I don't know what to believe. And as an extension of that, I don't know if I could believe in something like Jesus Christ or God, right? And when I think about that throughout our culture, I can understand a little better, in my opinion at least, why it is that so many people have an apprehension to religion and to God, because the very reality that we're living in, we're making it up with bots and with AI and with social media, which is just this ego driven mania for attention. And we're inundated with all of that. And yet somehow we're supposed to believe that all of eternity became man. I can understand a little bit why people just aren't about God. You know, I was one of them. But you hit rock bottom and you're looking for anything to fix the problem that isn't the problem itself, assuming you have the self-reflection and the moral integrity to realize and call yourself out and say, I did something bad. Yeah, it was at that point that I'm like, I need to find something. And I found God, you know? So, yeah, Wednesday, I got asked by one of my coworkers, you know, I was in the restaurant and I was drinking some water. And she asked me, like, how are you doing? Just very, very casual question. Just, how are you doing? You know, that typical question that I feel like a lot of us get asked. Just like, how are you doing? How's the day? You know, question that really doesn't say anything, but it's like, how are you doing? And I told her, like, no, most of the time I just kind of say, like, oh, I'm doing good. You know, I kind of brush it off. But I told her, I'm just like, you know what? These last few days, like Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, I've been doing a lot of reflection on just how thankful I am, basically, of everything that I just said in this video. I said to her, which was that being thankful for God and being thankful for Jesus Christ, and that when I'm going through difficult things, I believe it's part of God's plan to turn me into who it is that He knows I can be. And she's like, that's really nice. Like, you're always looking on the bright side of things, Don. I really appreciate that about you. I'm like, thank you. you know? And it's hard. It's definitely very hard. And that's the thing is that like sometimes I feel like people get like this notion that like letting go of the hurt or the pain or the frustration that people either willingly or unwillingly put upon you, letting it go is easy when you're a Christian. And it's not. It's not. It's hard. It's trying. You know, I like to think about when Jesus, I forget exactly how the teaching or the parable goes. I don't think it's a parable either. I think it was just, a comment that Jesus stated. But someone is talking to Jesus. Excuse me. Someone's talking to Jesus and saying that they were wronged. And Jesus says, "Forgive them." And then they said, "Oh, well, I did, but then they wronged me again." And then Jesus said, "Forgive them again." And then they said, "But they wronged me a third time." And Jesus said, "Forgive him again." And then they finally say back, "How many times should I forgive them?" Or I think they said, "I forgave them 7 times," something like that. And then Jesus says, um, "Forgive them, like, forgive them 7 times and then forgive them 70 times 7 times," right? Like, keep forgiving them, you know? I do have other thoughts on that particular teaching, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But so, I think about that, just like, how many times should I forgive a person before I stop, right? Like, I'm not Jesus, I'm not God. I don't have the capacity within me to endlessly forgive someone because I'm human. There is a line somewhere, and I think that's kind of like what that teaching says inadvertently or maybe intentionally, right? 70 times 7 is a very big number, right? What is that? 490? I think it's 490. Yeah, it's 490. Um, but still 490, that's a lot. That's a lot of times to forgive a person. But also, it's not infinite, right? Like Jesus says to forgive 7 times 70. That's a that's a static number. It's a very high number, but it's still a static number. And you could take it literally and say, once I've forgiven you 490 times, you will get no more forgiveness from me, right? Now, obviously, Jesus doesn't have to do that because Jesus is Jesus. Jesus would know exactly what to say in the process of forgiving someone that would not only forgive them, but would actually turn them into a better person than they were before if they were willing to accept his forgiveness and accept what it is that he says back to them. If they are, they have an open heart. They are open to hearing the words of Christ. They are open to hearing the words of God. And they are willing to accept correction with humility and then go forward with the new teaching that they've been given, the new direction that they were offered. that they didn't ask for, but that they needed. And should they do it, well, the kingdom of God awaits, you know? So I get tired of forgiving people sometimes. I get super tired of it. Some people I really feel don't deserve forgiveness, but that's not my call to make because I don't know what's going on in someone's head, just like they don't know what's going on in mine. And that in and of itself is a blessing by God for me to even have the wherewithal and the self understanding that I don't have all the answers for other people. No, it's not my place. It's not my place to make those calls. So I forgive where I can. I do what I can. I'm honest where I can be. I try my best to be a good person. I really do. Even when it's hard, even when it costs me my time and my mental energy. And I try my best to pray to God for the wisdom to know when it's time to walk away. And when I reach that point, I do. I have. I know that about myself. But I don't walk away from God. That would be a big mistake. And that's a whole other conversation. So I'm thankful. Thankful for my life. Thankful for my beliefs. Thankful for my God. Thankful for my Savior. Thankful for prayer. Thankful for Vanessa. Thankful for the lights. Thankful for the phone. Thankful for the internet. Thankful for the bed. Thankful that it's cooler outside right now because I slept really well last night. You know, thankful for my Bible. Thankful that I have hair. You know, it's like if you take a step back and you really look at your life and you really ask yourself, what do I have to be thankful about? If you can even stand, see, think, and say, I have nothing to be thankful about, you're an idiot because you can walk, you can see, and you can speak, and you can think. You got four things to be thankful about. But you're caught up in your own self-imposed world of loss that you can't even see the blessings you've got right in front of you. And that was my issue for a while too. Faith isn't about ignoring the issues in your life. Faith is about acknowledging the blessings in spite of the issues in your life. That's faith to a degree. So I feel like it's a good spot to end. Um, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. Yeah. Uh, that's all. Have a good day. God bless. And that's it.